He walked in from freezing streets, torn shoes, hungry eyes. The millionaire laughed, pointing at his Ferrari. "Turn it on and it's yours." The crowd cheered for the beggar to fail. But when the engine roared to life, the laughter died, and the millionaire's regret began. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. It'll also tell us where you're watching from. Let's continue. You don't belong here. The words cut through the glittering showroom like a whip. Laughter followed, sharp and merciless, bouncing off the glass walls and polished floors. Beneath chandeliers, men in tuxedos and women in gowns turned their heads as if a foul smell had entered the room. And in their eyes it had, because an old homeless black man had just walked into the millionaire's party. He looked tired, skin weathered, his gray beard tangled. His jacket was torn at the elbows, his shirt yellowed, his shoes barely holding together. He clutched a small cloth bag in one hand, pressed against his chest like it was his only possession. Security must be sleeping. One man in a bow tie muttered, his friends chuckling. A young woman in a glittering red dress whispered behind her hand, "Why don't they throw him out already? He'll dirty the floors." "Look at him holding that rag like it's gold." Another man snickered. Maybe he came to sell it to buy bread. The old man lowered his gaze, shoulders bent. But he didn't leave. He had wandered in when the music and lights pulled him from the cold street outside. For one brief second, he just wanted to see warmed people, maybe feel human again. But instead, he found himself surrounded by laughter. Then came the voice that silenced the room, confident, mocking. Wait, don't throw him out yet." Everyone turned to the young man in the black tuxedo, the millionaire host. His hair was slick, his smile dazzling, his confidence unshakable. He was known in the city, not just for his wealth, but for how much he enjoyed flaunting it. And right behind him, in the center of the showroom, gleamed his pride, a red Ferrari polished perfection, reflecting the lights like a jewel. The millionaire stepped forward, pointing straight at the old man. "Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've just found tonight's entertainment." The crowd laughed. Some clapped, waiting for the show. The old man stood frozen, his hand gripping the bag tighter, his lips pressed shut. "Tell me," the millionaire sneered, "how did you even walk in here? Did you follow the smell of food? Or maybe you thought this was a shelter?" More laughter. One man shouted, careful, he might scratch the car with his rags. Another chimed in, "Don't let him too close. He'll leave stains on the Ferrari." The old man's eyes flickered for a second toward the red machine, not in hunger, not in envy, but with something different, something no one else noticed. But the millionaire caught that glance. "You like the car, don't you?" His voice grew louder, playful and cruel. "Do you even know what it is? Do you know the name of this beauty?" The old man said nothing. Silence wasn't strength here. It was weakness, and they took it as such. "Of course he doesn't." The millionaire continued, circling him like a predator. "He probably thinks it's just another taxi. Poor man's never even sat in one." The crowd burst into hysterics. A woman in blue fanned herself, smirking. This is too cruel. But she didn't look away. None of them did. They were hooked on the humiliation. The old man clenched his jaw. His pride was buried beneath years of hunger, rejection, and cold nights on the streets. He had been ignored, overlooked, spat on, but rarely put on display like this. Yet he still stood there, not fleeing, not begging. The millionaire leaned closer, eyes sparkling with mischief. "Tell me, old man, how much do you think this car costs?" The old man whispered something too low to hear. "What was that?" The millionaire barked. "Speak louder. You're in my house now. Don't mumble like a beggar." The old man raised his eyes slightly, voice rough but steady. "More than I'll ever touch." "Correct," the millionaire announced, theatrically clapping his hands. "More than you'll ever touch. And yet, here you are, standing inches away from it. Isn't that funny?" The crowd roared again. A man imitated the old man's hunched walk, making the women giggle. Another pulled out his phone, recording. The humiliation was thick, suffocating. But still, the old man didn't turn his back. Something in him, perhaps broken pride, perhaps sheer stubbornness, kept him rooted. And that was when the millionaire, drunk on attention, went further. He raised his hands, pointing first at the Ferrari, then at the old man. His grin widened, his voice echoing under the chandelier. "If you can turn this car on, I'll give it to you." He tightened his grip on the cloth bag, his lips pressed together. He didn't smile. He didn't laugh. He simply stared at the car while everyone else waited to see him fail. The showroom still echoed with laughter. Crystal glasses clinked, heels tapped across marble. And yet all eyes stayed fixed on the old black man standing before the red Ferrari. The millionaire's voice sliced through the noise. "Well, don't just stand there. You want the car. Turn it on, or are you too scared?" The crowd cheered, egging it on. The old man didn't answer. He looked at the Ferrari, then at the millionaire, his face unreadable. His silence made the young host restless. Finally, with theatrical flourish, the millionaire reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the sleek black key fob. He dangled it in the air like bait. "Here, let's make this fair." His smile dripped arrogance. "I'll even give you the key. But remember, this isn't a rusted truck. You need to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you'll embarrass yourself." Even more gasps. Then more laughter. They were certain the old man would fumble, maybe not even know where to start. Some whispered bets. He won't even find the button. He'll stall the engine. He'll choke. The old man stepped forward, his hand trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of the moment. He accepted the key fob carefully, almost reverently, then walked to the driver's side. "Careful, old man," someone mocked. "That seat costs more than your life. Hope he doesn't faint when the engine growls." Another chuckled. The old man ignored them. He opened the door and lowered himself into the leather seat. For a second, he closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. The smell of new leather, the hum of perfection. He knew this world once, long ago. He placed the key fob down, adjusted the seat instinctively, checked the clutch, pressed his foot to the brake. The motions weren't guesses. They were habits buried deep in muscle memory. The crowd began to murmur. He looked too calm, too sure. "Come on, push the button," the millionaire yelled, impatient. The old man pressed the ignition. The Ferrari roared awake, its engine snarling like a beast. The sound filled the showroom, rattling glass and silencing every whisper. The women in gowns froze, wide-eyed. The men who had bet against him stood dumbstruck. Even the chandelier seemed to shiver above them. The old man sat there for a few seconds, his hand steady on the wheel, listening to the engine's perfect rhythm. Then he shut it off, stepped out slowly, and handed the key fob back to the millionaire. "You mocked me for being nothing," his voice rasped, carrying across the hushed room. "But I spent 30 years building engines richer men than you. Couldn't even start without me. This car, your pride, it speaks my language, and it answered me tonight, not you." The millionaire's jaw clenched. Cameras were still recording. Guests had their phones up, capturing every second. His grin was gone, replaced by a pale stiffness he couldn't hide. The old man continued, "You laughed at me for having nothing, but you—" He gestured to the Ferrari. "You hide behind things. Without them, what are you?" A ripple of unease passed through the crowd. The young women in gowns no longer smiled. The men shifted awkwardly in their tuxedos. Shame had crept into the glittering party. The millionaire opened his mouth, but no words came. Everyone had seen him mock, humiliate, and challenge a man who had walked in from the cold. And everyone had seen that man, against all odds, rise higher than the one who owned it all. The old man didn't demand the car. He didn't boast. He simply tightened his grip on his cloth bag and turned toward the doors. "Keep it," he muttered. It was never about the car. It was about respect, something you just lost tonight. And with that, he walked out into the cold street, disappearing into the night. Silence lingered. The Ferrari sat there, its engine still echoing in memory. But no one looked at the car anymore. They looked at the millionaire, his face burning, his pride shattered, his wealth suddenly meaningless. For the first time in years, he felt small, and regret gnawed at him. Not because he had nearly lost a car, but because he had given away his dignity with his own words. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, Where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.